What exactly is modern luxury? That's the question BMW set about answering when it built this, its latest 7 Series. Designed to be the pinnacle of the brand's range, it debuts a host of stunning new technology and all the usual refinements demanded by its high-class executive clientele. The question is, can it finally stand toe-to-toe with the might of the Mercedes S-Class?
Now, I'll admit, from far away, no, further than that, the new 7 does look a little bit like a 5 or even a 3 Series, so familiar is this shape. But if you get up close like this, there are some really smart details to appreciate, starting with these intricate headlights. They use laser light technology in combination with LEDs rather than traditional bulbs, so they're dazzlingly bright, even in direct sunlight. They give you up to double the distance of normal headlights, and they look great too. As you might already have guessed from the big wheels and the M badges dotted over the car, this is the M Sport version, and what that means is that the trim around the windows, on the bumper and here, all along the sides of the car is finished in what BMW calls high gloss shadow line. It means it gets a bit lost here on the bodywork, but on the standard car it's finished in a much brighter chrome and it contrasts nicely with the body colour and also makes the 7 look a little bit sleeker than it actually is. It's hard to know where to start in here, there's so much going on, but it's safe to say that the new 7 Series is now one seriously luxurious beast. Plush Napa leather is now standard and it covers almost every surface, from the fronts of these heated leather seats, which are incredibly comfortable by the way, to the door tops and even the centre armrest, even the tiny gaps here between the different control panels. All the switchgear is finished in this beautiful metallic coating and it's blended seamlessly with some of the technology on display, including this lovely slender touchscreen which governs the climate controls. In fact, technology is absolutely everywhere you look in here. The industry-leading iDrive infotainment system has now been paired up with a touchscreen for the first time, so you can pinch and zoom to your heart's content up here, although it's probably still easier to navigate through the different menus using this rotary controller down here. For the first time though, you can also use gesture controls, and that means you can do simple things like turn the volume up, turn the volume down, answer and reject calls, that sort of thing, all just using your hand and some preset gestures which are read by a camera up here. Even the key itself has a 2.1-inch touchscreen which allows you to check the vehicle's status, see how much range you've got left, and even preset the air conditioning to make it nice and warm on a chilly morning before your drive to work. And it charges wirelessly through a little tray down here. There's more good news here in the back too. The 7 Series is longer than it was before, and BMW claims that its 3-metre wheelbase gives it class-leading rear legroom. Certainly true that things are very spacious back here, and it would be the perfect tool for any chauffeur, but if you are struggling for space, then there's also a stretch version, which is downright vast. There's even more technology at work here in the back too. This car comes with the executive pack, which means you get soft closed doors, heated seats in the back and with a massage function, and I can also control the sun blinds back here using this integrated tablet. Oh, and there's even some different scents to choose from to waft through the cabin as I waft home. Previous versions of the 7 Series always placed a little bit too much emphasis on driver enjoyment and not enough on passenger comfort. BMW seems to have learnt its lessons this time around though, so as standard the new 7 Series gets self-leveling air suspension front and rear and 3-stage adaptive dampers. What that means is that on most surfaces the new 7 is as wafty and wallowy as its main rival, the S-Class, particularly on the motorway, where it's a really comfortable, pillowy cruiser that eases the burden of travel nicely. It's no slouch in the corners though, the handling's still nice and sharp, there's plenty of grip, and it's surprisingly agile for such a big car, particularly in sport mode. Part of that is down to the clever use of carbon fibre throughout this chassis. It's a very lightweight, stiff material, so it helps cut weight and also sharpen up the handling too. Those clever adaptive dampers that I mentioned before have got a new setting. As well as the normal 3 modes, you've also got an adaptive mode which constantly monitors the way you're driving and the road ahead and adjusts the throttle, suspension and steering accordingly to try and suit those conditions perfectly. However, I have to say, even in its softest setting, the 7 Series still isn't quite as comfortable as the best in this class, particularly on the scruffy roads that we normally encounter in the UK. It's a bit of a shame. It's partly down to the large wheels, which also generate a bit too much road noise. It's just not quite as refined as it could be. The engine, though, is smoothness personified. This is the 730D, which uses a 265 horsepower straight six diesel, and it's really, really torquey, smooth. You can just surf along, cruise through the gears in an effortless fashion. It's not a performance car in the strictest sense, though. It's the smoothness you'll notice more than anything else, and that's largely down to the 8-speed automatic gearbox, which is almost flawless, really. As an auto, it's always in the right gear when you need it to be, and you can just shift between the modes if you want a more aggressive throttle map. Or if you do want to choose gears manually and use the paddles up here, the changes are instant and seamless.
The 7 Series is now a legitimate challenger to the Mercedes S-Class. It's cheaper to buy and run, very nearly as luxurious, and comes packed with extraordinary gadgets that would make 007 proud. It's very good to drive too, but just not quite as comfortable, refined, or visually arresting as the very best limousines. Still, it's now a real class contender, and one that's more than worthy of your consideration. If you enjoyed watching this video, click the button below to subscribe to our YouTube channel, or leave us a comment and let us know what you think of the BMW 7 Series.